What's going on, everyone? Matthew here on the channel again, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Now, we've once again concluded another Marvel Disney Plus show. It feels like it's been ages since we started this, but at the same time, feels like no time at all. Start of this year, we did WandaVision, and then Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and now Hawkeye. So I think this is the fifth one, I think, if my math is correct. So probably, I think at the end of this episode, we'll get into a little ranking of them, for sure, because like I said, it's the finale of Hawkeye, came out yesterday. Yeah, we're recording this on the Thursday. So yeah, I'll pass over to Callum to explain what's been going on the show as of late. So yeah, off to you, my friend.
So from the beginning, we've seen the burgeoning partnership between Kate Bishop and Hawkeye Clint Barton. There's been conspiracy and secrets, all of which have led up to the revelation in episode 5 that, spoilers, the person behind it was Kingpin, which then leads into this episode, which acts as the resolution for all of those loose plot threads. Aside from one, which we get certain answers about, but not certain answers at the same point. We get answers to who killed Armand, who was really behind the killing of him. We get, what other answers do we get? Well, we get
Rolex.
The resolution of the conflict between Julian and Hawkeye. We find out whose watch it is, but we don't find out why Kingpin wanted it. That's sort of the only thing that we don't hear about. And then was there anything else? I know that like in our episode 5 review, we sort of like reamed off about 8 things that needed sorted out, and I think to my knowledge there were no glaring gaps, so there must have been resolution on everything, at least to a certain point. And Hawkeye, as we know, he got home for Christmas.
Yeah, for sure. Just before we get into today's review, Calum and I are really trying to hit 300 subscribers before 2022. It would be awesome if you guys could make that come true for us. That'd be amazing. And yeah, please be sure to keep on liking, sharing, commenting. It means the world to us, and we hope you guys are having a really good Christmas. We're going to be doing quite a bit of Christmas content over the next few days. Obviously this review, and then a review of West Side Story. We went to see that in IMAX for the first time, which is really cool. And then obviously our Christmas Day special, as well as probably a few other reviews in there too. So yeah, it's really exciting for us. We love recording over this time of year. And yeah, mate, I suppose full spoilers, because that's just the trend for these reviews, isn't it? We're a bit more accessible for people. So I'll let you open the floor, mate, and I'll chip in where I can.
So because his appearance is brief and contained quite a lot to the beginning of the episode, I reckon we should talk about Kingpin first.
Let's do it.
So we had the not so the not so surprise twist that he was behind everything. In the comic that this is based on, Kingpin's a presence there, and in this show, it was heavily rumored that he was going to be in this series. But as we mentioned in last episode, he this is the first carryover from the Marvel Netflix shows that we've seen. We saw this episode 5 came out, just a few hours before we saw Spider-Man No Way Home. So this at least was our our first connection back to the Netflix series, and we were both let down quite significantly. I assume by the quality of the reveal there, because it was no tension was built, and they just showed a grainy photograph of him. And we could pick out certain elements that excited us. He has the cane, he has the suit. They haven't tried to CGI slap Vincent D'Onofrio's head on the Liev Schreiber body from Spider-Man Spider-Verse. I think we were quite thankful of that. But here, I don't know what's worse, the quality of that reveal, or the fact that Kingpin is wearing a chain and a Hawaiian shirt.
That's exactly what I was. My first note really on the show was Kingpin wears a Hawaiian shirt and like a weird Monopoly Man style hat in the show.
Yeah,
it's bizarre. I don't know. Is that a comic look? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is a look from the comics, but it just does not translate whatsoever to Vincent D'Onofrio, especially if we're still at this moment until we're told otherwise, pretending that this is the same character from the Daredevil TV show, because he was a very stylish man. He always wore cufflinks, which make an appearance in this episode. But he had a different suit for every day, and then by season 3 he had transitioned into the white suit. but a man of any style would not wear
What's he
this.
doing?
Well, a man of a certain style, but not that man. You know, the man from Daredevil, the Daredevil TV show, would not wear that. And even I get, you know, he was wearing his more casual look by the end of it. But then I saw, you know, I watched a breakdown of the episode, and even in the scene that opens the episode between him and Eleanor, he's still wearing the chain under his business suit, and I'm like, come on.
It feels
I
like
know
someone
some people wear
pretending to
chains,
be
but
Kingpin.
not Vinny Day, not Vinny Day.
It feels like someone pretending to be him. It feels so far removed from Daredevil. And maybe it's because it's a number of years since that show with the MCU timeline at the minute. I get that. I feel like that character, though, is going to divide a lot of people. Like this episode makes or breaks the show for me. You can either really like it or really not like it. I mean, there are some really strange moments that they take with that character. You know, I think I was made aware that, you know, by the end of the episode, of course, it's left in a cliffhanger of sorts, and I've since been made aware by a friend of the show, Reese, that there's a panel from the comics where Echo you know, like blinds Kingpin essentially, I think, using a gun. So I think that's where they might do it. It seems like a very strange time to kill him off. So I don't think they've done that, but God, if they do, it really changes the show for me, because what a waste if that is the case.
I know, you know, having this, you know, huge epic moment for fans, and you know, you think, wow, the door is open for him to fight Spider-Man now. 10 minutes to screen time, dead. And I was thinking that must be what they're doing. But then yeah, I was also made aware of that, you know, that parallel within the comics. So I mean, I think he must be an Echo, because he'll be, you know, the character to get, you know, the foot in the door for the mainstream audiences, because I think following her impact on this show, um, I couldn't care less about an Echo TV show. I was really waiting for her, you know, to sort of, you know, really make an impact as a character, and she doesn't, unfortunately. You know, I really wanted her to stake her claim and make me care. And currently, the only thing that will make me care. I mean, of course, I'm gonna watch it because, you know, I can't help but, you know, feel out of the loop
An
if I
addiction.
didn't. Yeah, you know, it is a bit, you know, when they're releasing content continuously and you're just lapping it up, you know, that there's kind of no other way to see it. But you know, you just can't be out of the loop with Marvel. So we're
So
gonna have to
true.
watch it. But the only thing that will actually excite me is to see her history with Kingpin, and I think that's gonna be the opinion of, you know, audiences that are on par with us. And then imagine people who care even less about the MCU, because we care about it a lot, and even we're not ours. So imagine people who are really casual, like they're not gonna, you know,
No,
they're not gonna
exactly.
touch Echo.
I feel exactly the same way as you, Callum, to be honest with you, man. And truth be told, I still think even if they go down the blind Kingpin route, you know, I'm not aware of that story in the comics. I'm not sure if he doesn't actually get blinded or whatever, but
I think he
let's
gets like an eye transplant or something.
let's say they even do that. I just feel like it's such a silly decision. Like that scene felt so terribly out of place. You know, there's a really hilarious moment where Vincent D'Onofrio just gets ran over by a car. It's I just feel like they tried to. This episode made him look like a bumbling idiot. You know, he's
Mm,
they really, you know, they made him look like this brawler who, like, you know, he snaps up all the arrows and stuff. But aside from that, you know, with the way they took it, I really didn't like it. I like the menacing Kingpin who, like, you know, if you speak his name, you're killed kind of thing. And I get that's maybe a bit
yeah.
dark for this show, but you know, I was watching Daredevil again today before this review, and it's just night and day, mate. It's just night and day between the parallel between the character comparisons there, with, if I'm honest. And I'm just not sure I was a fan of this sort of comedic, let's all laugh at Hawaiian shirt Wilson Fisk for a bit. You know, I wasn't for me.
Yeah, because I agree with you. You know, in the TV show, he's emotionally volatile, but here he's just an idiot. And I think an extension of that is the fact that he even hired the tracksuits in the first place. Like, you know, these seem to be his guys, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, Hawkeye has said, you know, he's the boss of the tracksuits. He's the guy at the top. So that means that, like, he's put together this crew intentionally, and the only
Yes.
competent one in the group is Kazi, and then, you know, by extension, Echo, even though she's only sort of a pseudo member of the tracksuit. She more just has a personal relationship with Kingpin, and then was allowed this opportunity to get vengeance against Ronin. But we don't understand, even by the end of this episode, why Kingpin wanted her dad killed, or why Kingpin built this army of idiots. And I suppose maybe again that's just to be seen in Echo, but it's not enough to pull the audiences. It's not enough to pull the audiences in.
Not at all. I honestly believe this episode, it's based on a lot of assumptions. Like, you just have to assume certain motives. Like, there's certain questions. Like, the episode kind of, not that I didn't like it. I think it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I just feel like even at 1 hour long, it still wasn't enough to wrap it up nicely. It kind of skirts over the fact that Eleanor killed Armand, apparently, and I'm not sure if we get a concrete answer as to Ronan killing Echo's dad. It seems like that was just Clint Barton.
Yeah, nothing said otherwise.
Yeah, and it really just it kind of made a mockery of the whole Jack Duquesne thing as well. You really think that character's going somewhere, and they just play it for a Ralph Boner joke kind of. For me, not that I didn't necessarily like that, because I quite liked the character. Strangely, it's very charismatic performance, but I just think it was a bit of a waste, especially with the whole murder mystery element of the early episodes. It just didn't sit right to me.
Yeah, I understand that he was sort of Eleanor's scapegoat, but surely she had him around for another reason. Like, if they either she truly loved him, or she found a use in him. And if he was just someone that she used as a scapegoat, why would she, like, I don't know why you wouldn't just then trick someone who's easier to trick. Like, you would just get someone incompetent and then fool them into a relationship. So if that was his only purpose in her life, I don't know why she even dated someone as intelligent as him. But if she was actually with him for love, I don't know why she would then betray him for the sake of money, especially because, again, why does Kingpin want Armand killed? Like, that's obviously not going to be covered in Echo. You know, she just says offhandedly, like, yeah, I killed Armand because Kingpin wanted him out of the way. It's like, well, what does that mean? Is Armand part of the criminal underworld? Was he in opposition to Fisk? Like, we don't get any of these answers, and I presume we never will.
I feel like
Did Eleanor physically stab the guy? Like, I want to see this.
I feel like Wilson Fisk wouldn't be the kind of guy that hire like noobs like the tracksuit gang. Like, I know
No.
I know in Daredevil, like in early seasons, like there's some goons that aren't very good, but like, what's the name of the guy that Karen Page shoots? Is it Wesley?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he seemed like a very competent individual for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like Wilson Fisk to try and like hire these tracksuit gangs who like are so incompetent. Like, I know what it is for the humor of the show, but yeah, I just find it quite. I just didn't really like the way they dealt with that character whatsoever. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad they brought him back. Like, I think it's a nice touch. It's just by the end, I think he was just introduced too late. That's what it all boiled down to for me. It was just introduced a little too late.
Yeah, he's also, shot by arrows, hit by a car, and then caught in an explosion. And he backs all of them. So I suppose the question is this the same Kingpin from the TV series? Is this a super powered MCU version, in order to create threatening presence? Because he like rips the door off of the car,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he survives all these lethal situations. So I suppose they're probably not going to say a word about it. I think to avoid complications with continuity, I think they're just not going to mention whether these are the characters from the Netflix series. If you ask Kevin Feige, he's going to go, they're the same actors, and then we're like, yeah, but are they the
What does
same
that
characters?
mean?
He's
Yeah.
like, they're playing Daredevil and Kingpin, and we're like, yes, but does the
You've nailed that
continuity
there, to be
stand?
fair.
And then he'll
Yeah.
go, everything's canon in the MCU multiverse, and we're like, but is it canon in the MCU? Like, I feel like he's gonna skirt around that, and it's
Without doubt.
nothing's gonna be said explicitly. So I think we just have to accept the continuity that we want, and the continuity that we want is that this is the Kingpin from Daredevil, as of season 3, and in that situation, he's not ripping car doors off.
Unless he's been going to the gym. He did look a little bit, I'm not sure whether it was the
Beefier.
suit or something. He looked a bit like beefier, yeah. He must have been working out.
Yeah, and if you want to follow the comic book logic that you say doesn't really stack up for you, that he's all
2% fat
muscle.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, then I suppose you can maybe give him some leeway and just say,
Yeah, perhaps.
sure, in a moment of adrenaline, sure, maybe you can survive all of that and rip a car door off. But it wasn't something that stacked up for me visually, but it was funny at least to see him rip the car door off and then immediately appear in his Hawaiian shirt. I don't think that was done for a comedic effect, but it worked for me.
Definitely.
So, as I said, we see the resolution of the conflict between Yelena and Clint, and it's resolved by him just having a wee chat with her and saying, "Come on, I was friends with Natasha, but up to that point, she's absolutely opposed to the idea of any wrongdoing not being on Clint's part. But honestly, if she really knows Natasha, is it really more believable than that someone killed her than she sacrificed herself? Like, I feel like she doesn't know her at all.
I feel like that that whole Yelena plot line, I can understand why they included it in the trailers, because fresh off Black Widow, of course, helped market the show. I always thought it was quite a difficult plot line to conclude, in terms of, Hawkeye just tells her the truth and Yelena has to go, okay, like that's how it happened in the show, really. It's not much different to that. So it was another plot line that didn't really go anywhere. Yelena.
Yeah, it's a tighter show if you just take Yelena out. I mean, you get
I don't think she needs to be there.
I know, like you lose the kind of comedic frenemy situation between her and Kate Bishop,
That's
which
fantastic.
I'm sure for
bit,
some
that
people
is good.
provided some comedy and maybe can be explored in the future. So I mean, you've laid the groundwork for that, but I think she was simultaneously not in it enough to really affect the show, and then in it too much that it sort of threw the vibe of the show
Derailed it,
off.
yeah.
So yeah, it kind of lost me a little bit with her character.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same.
So, as I said before, everything's resolved. Hawkeye makes it back in time for Christmas, and he's brought Kate with him. Something that I think we all knew was going to happen.
And the dog.
Especially
and
with
the dog, thankfully.
especially with and the dog, of course. Especially with the revelation that Kate's mom was a bad guy. I think we realized that Hawkeye was gonna have to take Kate under his wing. So it is revealed, as expected, that the watch was actually Laura's. I don't really think they ever, set up any other possibility. I think he said, it belongs to a secret hero, and then he went on the phone to his wife, and then she was like, "Have you found the watch?" And I'm like, "Well, if she cares, it's probably hers." And then with that, we see that she is actually Agent 19, which in the comics is Mockingbird. And in Agents of Shield, we have had the Bobby Morse version of Mockingbird. But I assume she goes off and she has a relationship with Lance Hunter in that show. So I think removing her from continuity and sort of making Laura this amalgamated version of different name, but the same character, I think is going to work out fine. I don't really know how you explore that in the future other than going into flashbacks. But I'm excited by the possibility of Linda Cardellini getting more screen time.
Yeah, no, 100%, man, 100%. Ever since her introduction in Age of Ultron, I was always a big fan, and I have a few questions to ask you in relation to that. Where do we go with Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner here? Like, do we see them in more projects? I certainly feel like Haley Steinfeld, there's endless possibilities there for future films. I think she's a big enough name to, without doubt, lead her own film now, or like at least a team film. Jeremy Renner's an interesting one. Do you think he gets slowly phased out of the MCU, or do you think they kill him off in a future project? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think they set up too many, dangling plot threads for this show not to get a season 2. And I think that season 2, if it didn't have Jeremy Renner in it, would feel a bit weird. Like if you just have Haley Steinfeld following up about the watch that belongs to Clint Barton's wife. I don't know, it sort of doesn't really line up. But then you also get the famous Marvel sort of cut off line at the end of a project, where they suggest that Clint is going to suggest that she take on the role of Hawkeye. But then, as you said, where does that leave him? I think it obviously leaves her as the future leader of the Young Avengers. either her or Cassie Lang, because they're sort of the two senior members. But I'm curious to see. And in this episode, we got the answer to whose watch it was, but not why Kingpin wanted it. So I think those are the answers that we need, unless the show just decides to ignore that, like they have certain other plot lines that we kind of need spelled out for us. It's bizarre to me that they make that mistake of thinking that something is a twist when it's not. That Eleanor's mom is evil and that Kingpin's going to show up. Those are two moments that were played as big revelations, and we were like, I mean, we knew that before episode 1 came out. You don't hire Vera Farmiga to play a character's mother who's of no significance. You hire her to play the villain, even though she doesn't have any kind of like evil turn. She doesn't go, I'm evil now. It's like, no, I'm still a good guy. I was just doing this because
It's not an Agatha Harkness
in a bad
situation, is it?
Yeah, it's not quite, but it's still she did bad things, and she was the villain. But it's weird to me that they do that, but then they don't realize the importance of certain other things. It's like when you were doing a look over of the script, did you not realize that there was like answers missing? Like you're thinking that this insignificant thing, we need to play that, we need to play that massively to get a reaction from the audience. But then things that the audience actually care about getting answers to, they're like, oh well, we kind of lightly implied parts of that, so let's move on. I feel like that's something that we've seen a few times.
Yeah, without doubt, mate, 100%. Like there is things you can look at and think there's stuff missing there, 1,000,000%.
So I don't really have anything further on the episode.
No, I'm exactly the same. I think now is a good time to rank the Disney Plus shows if you want to, because this is obviously end of the year, final one, and there's we've reviewed all of them, and I think my thoughts have certainly changed in retrospect over the year. So you know what, I'll let you kick us off with your list of the 5 then.
So I think none of the shows are 100%. They all have weak elements or weak episodes. I think Hawkeye, unfortunately, episodes 4 and 5 for me were sort of lower in quality than the rest of the show.
I would agree.
But the rest of the show is so amazing to me, and something that I didn't think that I would care about as much. I mean, I was excited for it, for the idea of Kingpin coming back, but not for the idea of watching Hawkeye do his thing. And the fact that they were able to make me like properly care about Hawkeye is an impressive feat. So my favorite one is Hawkeye, then WandaVision, then Loki, then What If, then Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I think for me, my favorite, I'm looking back at all these and kind of think, what was the biggest spectacle, and all these things. I think they're all very different. WandaVision, because at the start it felt like this new chapter into this universe of Disney Plus stuff. It felt, we didn't really know how to compare it to other things at the time. We're looking back now, like that was like the biggest show I would say that's the biggest show of the year. Like it has a huge following now. It's definitely up there. So I think for me, I'd go Loki as my favorite, then WandaVision, then Hawkeye, then What If, then Falcon Winter Soldier. Not that any of them are, not that the last two are particularly bad. It's just that I just feel like Loki was a real big spectacle where every episode was a game changer. Whereas Falcon Winter Soldier, I think you could get away with not watching that. I really honestly believe that.
Yeah, you have weak villains and clearly edited out plot lines that feel really that feel really missing when you come to episode 6.
Yeah.
But great costumes, great character dynamic built between Sam and Bucky. Something that I'm excited to see in Captain America 4. But just what we got there, especially, I think that's by far the weakest finale of the 5.
Certainly, I feel like apart from the introduction of Valentina, I think is it in that show. I think you can probably skip it. I mean, the US agent stuff I love. Like it's very similar to like Poindexter and Daredevil season 3 for me, but that's why I like it so much. So I feel like it's surprising too, because Falcon and Winter Soldier was the one I expected to be the best. But for me, I think Loki and WandaVision were just really, really strong, really, really strong, especially because, I think, I'm not sure what the budgets are like for all these, but you could tell like a lot of money was put into those projects. Oh yeah, without doubt. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of really. I mean, it is a very exciting time to be a Marvel fan. I mean, the slate for 2022. What's it like these days? Is it like Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel or something, or is there other ones there too?
Hmm. Yeah. Let me think here. I think Secret Invasion is currently for
That'll be a
2022,
good
and
one. I'm looking forward to that.
I think they're trying to get What If season 2 in by the end. But then, we're obviously taking a break for the next few weeks from the Disney Plus Marvel shows because they're doing the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So I assume when that wraps up, I think at the start of February or like mid-February. I wonder what one they're going to kick it off with. I think I'm pretty sure that She-Hulk started filming before Moon Knight, but I think Moon Knight's been I think it's been brought up the ladder, and I think it's maybe coming out sooner.
She-Hulk is the one I'm really looking forward to. That one and Secret Invasion. I think those two really excite me. Um, but as I say, I don't have anything more to say on Hawkeye. Generally, mate, anything from yourself?
Nothing else for me, Matthew.
Well, that wraps up our final Disney Plus review of the year. Thanks so much for your time, Callum. Appreciate it. If you want to check out our
Thank you.
other reviews of Hawkeye, you can check out our Hawkeye playlist. And I think I might end up adding all these to the Christmas playlist because at its heart, it is a Christmas themed show, I believe. So,
Hmm.
hope you guys all have a great festive period, and we really do appreciate all the support so far this year. So, stay safe out there, guys, and bye bye.
Bye bye.